Many people undermine the significance of fashion, but they're more than just clothes. They can reveal many things, like the values of a specific time period or culture. For example, the strict silhouettes and tight corsets of the Victorian era segueing into the carefree slip dresses worn by flappers in the roaring 20s. Clothing can also be used as a way to not only express yourself, but as a way to make a statement. However, many companies are taking advantage of the ever-rising popularity of fashion, and the resulting damage is felt in more ways than one. The invention of the internet and subsequently the creation of online shopping has created irreversible effects. The convenience of services like Amazon Prime is unmatched. People want things cheap and they want it immediately. Companies with a focus on fast fashion like Shine and Boohoo are constantly competing with each other, resorting to exploitive and environmentally inconsiderate methods to speed up the production process. For today's video, I'll be focusing on the environmental impact of fast fashion on the world and how it affects us. The main problem of fast fashion is overconsumption. The Google definition of overconsumption is the action or fact of consuming something to excess. In simple terms, we buy too many things and we are running out of materials to keep up with demand. The production of all the things we buy is also worsening climate change by a lot. Overconsumption can exacerbate a range of environmental problems, says Ivero Castano Garcia, a PhD student at the Center for Regional Economic and Social Research at Sheffield Hallam University, including global warming, ecosystem collapse, and loss of biodiversity. The production of fast fashion garments and all the textile waste also contributes to a lot of pollution.
Producing clothes at such a low price comes at a high environmental cost. The textile industry is the second biggest polluter in the world, after oil.
Per one part, 1 ton of fabric, as we call it, 200 tons of water are polluted. So 1 to 200 is the ratio. The more commerce there is, the more pollution there's going to be without efficient filtration and cleanup technology. If the fashion industry is going to expand by an additional 60% in the next 10 years, then we're going to get 60% more pollution.
Since overconsumption covers many smaller topics, I'll focus on the waste created by fast fashion first. We often don't think about where our trash goes. All the waste that we create in the global north is pushed to the global south. It's much cheaper and convenient to ship all our trash to developing countries than to discard the trash ourselves. The global north often pushes the global south to employ more sustainable and ethical ways, but developed countries are the ones that use these methods first. People often criticize the factories in countries like the Philippines, but the people who benefit most from the same factories are those in the global north. Western countries continuously exploit developing countries and even use them as a dumping ground. According to the LA Times, South Asia and Africa have the lowest level of efficient waste collection, according to World Bank statistics. However, most of the waste from Western countries are shipped to these places. This leads to many problems, such as when waste is not collected, the frequency of illness, such as diarrhea, doubles, and acute respiratory infection linked to the burning of waste is 6 times higher. And in less developed nations, uncollected waste is typically heaviest near less affluent neighborhoods and slums. For scavengers, discarded food in the heaps of trash provides sustenance and a livelihood. But going back to fashion, here's a video about the clothing from secondhand stores that are shipped to Ghana.
On the coast of West Africa, the ships arrive day after day with an unrelenting cargo. In Ghana, they call them obroni wawu, or the clothes of dead white men.
Take this bear from Australia
They're the charity shop cast-offs from the Western world.
Dirty.
It's sweat.
Yeah, rubbish. It's like an insult.
Too many of them arrive in unwearable condition, while the trade in used clothes has created thousands of jobs. It's also turning parts of Ghana into a toxic landfill.
This place is serving as a dumping ground for textile waste in the name of second-hand clothing.
The world's unwanted fashion ends its journey here.
We call them tentacles. When they first wash up on sea, they're very long.
It's creating an environmental catastrophe of unthinkable proportions.
Some people think that thrifting their clothes solves everything, but that's far from the truth, as you saw in the video. Thrifting is still better than just throwing things in the garbage though, but it's not going to single-handedly get rid of every problem.
The lifespan of a fast fashion garment is short, and not only because in some cases things are only worn once and then discarded.
This garment has not been worn very often, but you can already see signs of pilling around the hips. With this dress, the fibers have quickly become worn out, so it no longer looks new. When it comes to these fast fashion items, you couldn't sell them in a second-hand store either.
Under 1% of our clothing can be recycled. Every year, 4 million tons of textiles end up in the trash here in Europe. Can we stop this fast fashion craziness?
Every evening, with the market's customers heading home, a clean-up operation begins. Alleys full of unsaleable clothing are swept up and bundled into sacks, ready for tomorrow's collection. The next morning, the sheer volume of waste is staggering. But before it's even been driven away, another load of used clothing appears and is put up for sale. Solomon Noy is the city's waste manager.
This place is serving as a dumping ground for textile waste in the name of second-hand clothing. Close to 40% of whatever shipment that are coming on a daily basis ends up to be complete chaff of no value.
Every day, this truck is full to overflowing.
There's roughly 6 million garments every week that leave Cantamanto Market as waste. And a huge proportion of all of that clothing is trucked 2 hours north of Accra and ends up being dumped as landfill.
The pressure from the used clothing industry is relentless. The city of Accra now has to find somewhere to dispose of more than 160 tonnes of textile waste every single day.